So hello friends, welcome back, and in this video we are going to start our first lecture. In the first lecture we will see about the logarithmic functions, trigonometric functions, and a good question to understand how it can be used in the problem. And we will also see arithmetic and geometric progression as well as some common series which are used very readily. So starting with the log function, firstly we will see a very common question which you already know and it's very easy for you, but actually you need to understand how the log can be applied. Now if I say that you have a number n and you want to find its number of digits. Now the first thing which will come in mind, if I have suppose a number 1 2 3, right, then what I will do, I have a number and I will extract its last digit, and so the remaining number, then I will extract it, and as like when I will be getting a number, so I will be adding in my variable called count. Simple. Like what I will do, that if I have this number right here 123, so I will extract a number, right? If I'm able to extract any number, then it's good. So I will add in my variable called count 1, then I will remove this number. Now then I will extract another number, another last number. Now why I'm extracting the last number? Because it's easy to extract the last number by simply writing n mod 10. By this I can extract the last number, and to remove the last number I can just do n is equals to n by 10, which means that its last digit will be removed. Very fine. So I will do it until my number called n is exhausted. I simply wrote the same thing which I told you right here, that I have this function called count digits. It will have an argument of n. Then I have a variable called count. It will have the how many number of digits I am having in a number. Then I will run my loop until my n is exhausted, because see, for example, initially for n is equals to 123, right, it's n, right. Then in the next step what we will do, I will do n is equals to n by 10, so it will become 12. In the next step I will do n equal to n by 10, so it will become 1. In the next step I equal to n equal to n by 10, so it will become 0. Now you can see that in these steps I will check, I will increase my value of count by 1 here, by 1 here, and by 1 here, and at last when it is 0, which means that my n is exhausted. So by this I can easily have my number of digits in my number, and thus I will return my count. It's an iterative method which we usually, it's very easy for you to find, right? Then let's see the recursive method. How to find the recursively. Now if you are familiar with recursion, so it will be pretty easy, but if you are not, then I will separately teach about recursion. So but yeah, like I will teach also here. So see, what is recursion? Recursion is basically having the same function call. Like if suppose I have a number n, then I can have a recursive call to the number, any number, and I should do it such that it moves to a base condition, which means that if I have the number called 123, right, and I need to count the number of digits in it, so I know that I need to reduce this n, because see, if it will not reduce, so it will go on infinitely, which I don't want. So I need the argument to be reduced. Now if I want that, actually what was happening above is that I had this number and I have the reduced number right here, which I was doing iteratively. I will do the same thing recursively, which means that as I'm obtaining a number, which means I'm obtaining a digit, so I will add 1, then I am remaining with what? I'm remaining with a number called 12, so I will just write 12, which means that I will do n by 10 in my recursive call. Then my base condition, what will be my base condition? My base condition will be nothing but, see, what's the base condition? Anything when it arrives at the particular location, so it will be either invalid, or if it is valid, so I should know its answer. So as I said that when it is 0, so it's invalid basically, because my answer will be n right there. So as soon as my n becomes 0, so I should need to return 0, because ultimately if my n is 0, so my number of digits in that n equal to 0 is 0. So I will just return 0, because see, if you don't know about recursion much, then it might be pretty hard for you, but if you know a little bit even enough, so I have explained how recursion actually works. Now to understand that much better, let's see what's the call stack of that recursion. Now, as you can clearly see that initially when I have a recursive call, so I will pass this, what I will pass, see, I need to count my digits in 123. It will be nothing but I will add 1, right? Then I will have a reduced call to 123 by 10, which means that it will be nothing but 12. So I will do my count digits in number 12. It will go up right here, as you can see. So it will be 1 plus count digits in 12 by 10, which is nothing but 1. Then it will go above, so it will be nothing but 1 plus count digits in 1 by 10, which is nothing but 0. So as you can clearly see that for 0, I knew that my number of digits are 0 because it's a base case. So you can clearly see that for n equal to 0, it was 0. Then I will add in it and I will return back. So see, it's basically how recursion works, that we have function call, we pass in an argument, then it moves to another function call, which is reduced one, and when it is computed finally, so it returns back. So it is computed as 1 and it returns back to the previous function call, where 1 is added to that returning function value and it is resulted as 2. Then when it returns back, it is again added in 1 and it's again computed as 3. Now it returns back to the final answer, which is 3. So with the help of recursion also we can find the answer. Although again I'm saying that if you are not much familiar with recursion, so in the recursion series I will explain very deeply okay how actually call stack works and how actually what is the basic condition of recursions. But yeah, it's all for the recursion part. Now you can see that okay, you are writing a pretty big code and you just need to find the number of digits in that particular number n. Is there anything you can do pretty easily? Which means that is there any one line solution for this? So you can clearly see that we can also write it as floor of log n and the base is 10 plus 1. Now you might think okay, how I thought of this. Now see, if you're clearly familiar with how log works, then log works something like this. Log y to the base x, it is, suppose if it is z, then it actually means that x raised to the power z is equals to y, right? So anything which I should write here, it should be something like this. So you can clearly see that x should be nothing but 2, right? So you can clearly see that if I have something like this, it will be nothing but 1, right? Now if it is 100, it will be nothing but 2, right? If it is 1000, so it will be nothing but 3, and so on and so forth. Now you can clearly see that for every power of 10 you are having a value. So what if my number is less than 100? See, I am having number right here 100 only because I know that for any power of 10 I am having a fixed value, which means that I will obtain a natural number, right? Maybe it is 1000, maybe it is 1 lakh or anything, but I will obtain a fixed number for that. Either I can have number 10, I can have number 100, I can have number 1000. So I'm comparing my other numbers with the particular number 100, 1000, like this. Okay, so any number, if it can be either less than this or more than this. Okay, so any number, suppose it is 86, so it can be less than 100 or it can be more than 100. Now you can clearly see that if it is less than 100, so if I will compute its log, so what I will find is, I will find a number which is less than 2, because see, it was having a value as 2, right? If I will find any number, so it will be less than 2, very fine. And if I find its number, so it will be more than 2 but less than 3, because it is less than 1000. Now it is exactly 2, it is less than 2 and it is more than 2. So if I find its floor value, which means that okay, I will bring all these number to a natural number, so it will be nothing but 1, it will be nothing but 2, and it is 2 only. So you can clearly see that here I had 3 digits, here I also had 3, here I had 2, so I just need to add my 1 in here so as to find my answer. So I will do nothing but, let me erase this. So I will do nothing, I will just find its log to the base 10, then I will have its floor value, so that actually need to convert to a natural number. then I clearly know that I need to add 1 so as to find the actual number of digits in that number. Now, okay, so it was the use. Okay, how can you use this log in your problem? It is very lessly used actually, but it can be used in Codeforces problem A mostly because it's basically formula thing. If you know the formula, you are good to go. So now starting with the trigonometric functions, which are basically used in the geometry problem. Now, how in the geometry problem, like you will have 2 points, or you can have any number of points, and if you want to find the angle with the x-axis, suppose the point is 0, 0, and here the point is x, y. Tan theta is y upon x. So theta will be nothing but tan inverse y by x. Thus, I can easily find my angle with this. Now, the angle to obtain is in radians, and you should also know how to convert radians to degrees and vice versa. So, there is a basic formula: 180 degree is equals to pi radians. Now, the basic thing is that if you have anything in radian, which means that a radian, so you can simply write 180 upon pi degree. So if I have any number, suppose called x, so if I multiply x into 180 by pi, then I will get the answer in degree, and vice versa. If I want in degree, if I have in degree and I want to convert in radian, so it will be nothing but pi upon 180 radian. Which means that if I have a number called y in degree and if I multiply it by pi upon 180, so I'll obtain in radian. Now you might ask that, okay, how it can be used. So first of all, the thing I showed you here, if I want to find the angle with the x-axis, so you can clearly see that it returns tan inverse of y upon x, and same here, it returns inverse of x, it is sine inverse of x, it is cos inverse of x, it is simply tan x, it is simply sine x, and it is simply cos x. Now, the another thing where you can use this is if you want to find the value of pi, which means that basically you can use m underscore pi, but in most of the compilers it is not valid to use. So you can simply write value of, like suppose value called pie, so it will be nothing but a cos minus 1. So it will return the value of pi because we know that cos pi is minus 1, right? So yeah, it is also helpful and it is also helpful. Now you can clearly see that some of the basic, the thing that, okay, if my x is right here and if my y is something, so how I can find the values. So yeah, it's basically an example, okay, how you can use these functions, trigonometric functions, and the last one also. It's very easy for you guys. You just need to put the values and you will obtain the answer. Then there's a good lead code question, so it's a medium plus. For me, I classify the question as easy, medium plus, and hard. So it's a medium plus question. Although the use of trigonometric functions here would be only to find the value of pi, if you want to find using the cos inverse formula, and the angle which you need to find from the x-axis, as I showed you here as well, that if you want to find the angle from the x-axis. So here it will be used. You can try the problem by yourself because it's not a very easy or hard, like it's a medium problem. I hope that you can use it or try it. The only thing where the trigonometric part will come in picture is for finding the value of pi or to compute the angle with the x-axis, because it has multiple points and you have a starting point which is this, and you have multiple points and you need to find the angle. And a good hint for this problem is that window sliding method will be used here. So yeah, if you want to try, the problem link will be down below and you can surely try the problem. Now in GFG as well, you can see that the whole list will be provided, but for you I have marked that you need only these ones which are mostly used, and you should know about that. Like the square root function is also used, although you can also write x into x like equal to n and you can simply obtain the x, but yeah, like square root function is also very used. ABS function is finding the absolute value, which means that if I write ABS of minus 4, it will return me 4. If I write ABS of 4, still it will return me 4, which means that ABS will return always the positive value to you. Then you will have the function called POW, PA. Now for example, like if I write POW 2 and raised to power 3, so it is the base and it is the exponent. So it will be nothing but 2 raised to the power 3, which is 8. So yeah, it is also very readily used. Then we have the floor and we have the ceil function. Now floor, as the word itself says, that if I have any number called, suppose 4.8, right? So it's floor, which means that, see, if I say that if the number, it can be 4 or if it can be 5. So if I have the number in between, so it will return the number, the floor value, which means the base value. So it will return the floor. And if I say that for the ceil, so it will return the just above natural number, which is the 5. So by this you can clearly see that the floor and the ceil functions are very readily used. So these floor, ceil function, POW, ABS, square root, these are very readily used. After that, we have the basic trigonometric functions, which I told you above as well. Then we have the ceil, as I showed you, okay, how the ceil can be used. It is to give the just above natural number to you guys. Then we have the log, as I showed you above as well. So yeah, these are all the mathematical functions which you will very readily encounter in your problem A and hopefully B. But yeah, like these things which are ABS, POW and floor and ceil, they are very readily used. So yeah, it's all the mathematical portion, the log and the trigonometric and some basic square root and ABS and all these functions. In the next video, we will see about the arithmetic and geometry progression and basically some fact about the prime numbers as well. So yeah, it's all about this video. See you in the next video. Until then, be happy and keep coding. Bye.